So here's the aftermath of getting the motor out. With daylight back, we can see that I was able to get the transmission disconnected without spilling any ATF. So that's really good. The next challenge is getting it out from under the car without spilling ATF. This was probably by far the cleanest job I've ever done, pulling a motor out. I didn't spill any oil, didn't spill too much coolant, but next part is to disassemble this engine and see what it looks like on the inside. So now that we've got the head off, we can see in cylinder 1 and cylinder 6 from the white color of the valve is that the motor was running lean on the outside, and as we can see on the valves on the inside, they're brown and a little bit, this one ran really rich, and this is where it's right next to the carburetor, so this gets the richest amount of mixture. But as you see, as we get towards the outside of the cylinder, or excuse me, not the cylinder, the head, as we get towards the outside of the head, it gets leaner, and that's because we have that single barrel carburetor working overtime to feed these inline 6 motors. So we see there's quite a bit of carbon deposit on these. This one was running really rich, but it's probably why this head gasket was leaking, is because it was getting hot on the outside. For the most part, doesn't matter in the end, because no one really wants these motors, and it would be too much to rebuild this rather than just buy a good in condition one if someone wanted to restore it. But you can see how big this combustion chamber is, and this is the rest of the combustion chamber right here. You can tell that it would breathe terribly. So, I mean, there you have it on these stock 194s. I mean, the Chevy Nova was a cheap car, but you can just see how design of the 1960s was. But these 194s were direct descendants of their 1930s designs. Yeah. So here we have the crankshaft and the block. I finally got the oil pan off. It wasn't too hard. Without an engine stand, it's a little bit more challenging, but once you have the head off this block, it's actually light enough where you can wobble it around on a tire, and I was able to flip it over, and it looks pretty clean on the inside. Inside the cylinders, I could see some scoring. I mean, that's what happens when you run an engine low on oil, and this engine was definitely run low on oil. Other than that, the inside looks pretty clean. It's a shame that nobody wants this block, but once again, it would cost more money to fix this block than it would be to just pick up another fully running 194. Next part is to rip out all the pistons.